Hey, how's it going, everybody? Gonna make some cream of asparagus soup here. I've got a little bit of celery, a little bit of onion chopped up. Not too much for this one because I want the primary flavor to be the asparagus. I did an asparagus video on how to clean them up there the other day. This one is just going to be straightforward. I've got some olive oil, and I'm going to take some of my clarified butter for flavor. I'm going to plop it in the pan, give her a little more heat. In goes my diced onion. A small dice too, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to puree all this stuff once it gets going. Get that in there to cook. I'll give everything a stir, get it going, and I'll start cleaning up my asparagus here. My chicken stock I made the other day, I deboned some chicken thighs and I made some chicken stock, and I could have let it go maybe another hour. You can see it's kind of gelatinous, a little bit. Could be a little bit thicker, but you know what? It is what it is. It smells great. It's got lots of flavor. And yeah, we'll fry this up and we'll get the stock on the boil and we'll come right back. Okay, I got my celery and onion cooking here nicely in the oil and the butter. Just gonna give it a couple grains of black pepper. I've chopped up my asparagus stalks. I've got stalks here. I'm gonna throw those in to the pot. And what I've done is I've saved the tips. And the tips I'm gonna use, I'm just gonna put in there whole. So after I start cooking it and simmering it, when I put them in there whole, they're going to cook through. We'll put them in last, they'll cook through. But before I put them in, I'm going to puree all this stuff. I've got all this stuff going here with the stock and the celery and stuff. I'll add the chicken stock, and then we'll get her up to a boil. Okay, it's been simmering for about 20 minutes or so. Those stalks are nice and tender. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add some whipping cream to it. You can put in milk, skim milk, cream, whatever you want. Just a little bit to make it creamy. And what I'm going to do next is I made a roux, and it's equal parts flour and oil. Rule of thumb in cooking, you want to thicken 1 liter of liquid, 60 grams of flour, and an equal amount of oil will thicken 1 liter of stock, water, whatever you need to thicken. So I'm going to add this in. I'll grab my handy dandy whisk. I'll turn up the heat a little bit. I got my French whisk here, and I stir it and I stir it and I stir it, and as this simmers, this is going to thicken up nice. It's thin now, but it'll thicken up nice, and once it's nice and thick, I'll check the seasonings and stuff, and then I'll puree it with the hand blender. And we'll keep on going. All right, the soup's been simmering away for a little bit here. What you want to do is you want to simmer it for like 10 to 15 minutes once you put the roux in, because it's going to have a starchy, floury taste. Once you cook it for like 15, 20 minutes, 10, 15, 20 minutes, that floury taste is going to disappear and you'll have a nice thick soup. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn off the heat here and I'm going to puree it. Okay, we pureed up the soup. We got those stalks down to something that'll fit onto a spoon size. Put that in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the seasoning. Click the heat back on. I turn the heat off just because if it splashes over, it doesn't burn and stuff. So we got a little bit of marjoram, dried marjoram. I'll put in about a half a teaspoon, not a whole lot, because again I want the asparagus to be the star of the soup. And I've got some oregano. I'll put in about the same amount. I'll season it up. And since this is cream of asparagus soup, my secret ingredient, not so secret anymore I guess, is none other than, here we go, cream cheese. Cream cheese and the asparagus soup, I guess, is just a nice flavor. So maybe, I don't know, maybe a quarter of a cup, a third of a cup. I'll just plop her in there. And we'll let her go, and we'll take our French whisk again, and we'll give it a stir. And you just want to stir it until that is all nice and melted. And you know the cream cheese is melted when all the little white chunks disappear. All right, we'll simmer this for a little bit longer and we'll be back. All right, the soup is pretty much done. I'm just gonna taste it again. I've adjusted the seasonings and stuff. It's pretty good. That's beautiful, man. So I'm gonna take my asparagus tips. I'm just gonna put them in there. I'm gonna turn the heat off. Gonna let them soak for about 5 minutes. And yeah, we'll bowl her up and we'll get a picture of that for you. Woohoo! There you go. Creamy cheese and asparagus garnished with some Parmesan cheese and a little cold cut platter and a San Pellegrino.